Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, senior editor, Alex Conrad. Alex, thanks for coming on in.
Awesome to be here.
A big congrats to you. The Cloud 100 list has officially dropped. So first, for the uninitiated, can you tell us what is the Cloud 100 and how does Forbes compile it?
The Cloud 100 is our definitive ranking of the leading private cloud computing companies in the world. So that's anything from an AI software company to a payments company to a security company. And we've made this list for 9 years in partnership with two venture capital firms, Bessemer Venture Partners and Salesforce Ventures.
A lot has changed in 9 years, obviously, but something that's changed really in the past year and a half is AI burst onto the scene, especially when ChatGPT was launched in November 2022. So how is AI impacting the list?
So last year, OpenAI jumped up to #1, and we sort of saw AI starting to be a big part of this list. And this year, it got even crazier. We have 16 AI companies on the Cloud 100 list and 3 in the top 10. There's OpenAI at #1, there's Anthropic at #5, and there's also Scale AI at #7. So we're seeing AI really dominate because this list values high revenue growth, employee headcount, industry buzz, as well as increasing valuations. And AI has all of those things right now.
Sam Altman and OpenAI really joined the national conversation, like I said earlier, with the launch of ChatGPT. As you said, OpenAI is #1 once again. So tell us about the company and the year that they had.
So OpenAI continues to be the most popular creator of these large language models with GPT-4 and this GPT-4.0 kind of smaller version. But it's in a big race with Anthropic and a couple other companies, and also open source, where we saw last month Facebook launched a new open source model, Llama 3.1, which is supposed to be almost as good. So OpenAI is still the most popular and the most revenue generating of these model creators, but it's in a big race where you could be using ChatGPT, you could be using Anthropic's Claude, you could be using other chatbots. We're still sort of figuring out like where that market sits.
Anthropic really skyrocketed this year. Last year it was number 73. Now it's number 5. Talk to us about that growth and the year that that company's had.
Anthropic was a spin-out from OpenAI where the founders, including a brother-sister duo, Dario and Daniela Amade, wanted to make like a safer, more responsible version of AI. But from the get-go, it ironically was also very business-minded. OpenAI also now has billions in revenue and is focused on being a business application. But think of OpenAI as really popular with consumers, maybe tech companies, small companies. I wrote last month about a company called Airtable, which is also on this list, which has built on top of OpenAI. Anthropic is very enterprise-focused, where it's looking for those really big companies. It's been backed and partnered with companies like Salesforce to offer business use cases. One thing that I find really interesting that we found out in this reporting is that the CEO of Anthropic likes how it's being used in healthcare. So you can imagine companies are starting to use Anthropic's tools to study patient conversations or come up with a better file, because as I'm sure you know, doctors have so much paperwork to do. They want to be helping people. And so a tool like Anthropic's can really speed that up.
And why, specifically to our Forbes audience, should they know about Anthropic?
I think our Forbes audience, their companies are going to be figuring out how they want to use these tools. They could be building on top of OpenAI or Anthropic. They want to be partnering with the right model that fits their business use case. And what we've seen is some really interesting companies starting to kind of tailor those available models to their work functions. So if you're a media company like ours, you're going to be exploring with AI, whether it's in our Birdie CMS or some of the other answers we offer. If you're a retailer, you want AI to be helping you figure out, better inventory or maybe when you should launch a product. Banks are also playing with it. Basically, any sector, you want to be using AI to speed up processes, get smarter about your business. And so I think Anthropic and OpenAI are really the two leading players right now to know there. But there are so many, especially at the back of our Cloud 100 list. You see companies like Mistral, a French startup. You see Cohere, which came out of Toronto, Canada. There's a bunch of AI companies that are really interesting based on what you're trying to do.
Talk about those AI companies a little bit more. I know you want to talk about, or we talked about OpenAI, we talked about Anthropic. Those are two to keep our eyes on. but you mentioned that there have been an increase in AI companies on this list this year. Talk to us about those.
Yeah, so one notable company is Perplexity, which Forbes has had its run-ins with. As I'm sure you remember, our editor-in-chief called out Perplexity for reappropriating Forbes' work that we had spent a lot of time on and not giving us a lot of credit in its engine that gives answers. But Perplexity is building interesting tools and it is popular. So despite whatever issues it had with us at Forbes, we still put it on the list. And then you're also seeing video generation appearing on the list. So Runway is a New York-based company that's really interesting that allows you to basically create a cool AI-generated video from just a prompt. They're another notable newcomer on this list.
And what about the notable non-AI companies? I know we're keeping our eye on AI, everything, that new flavor of the month, but what else aside from AI?
Yeah, it's funny, Forbes, we obviously publish an AI 50 list, and there is increasing overlap because the cloud includes AI, but there's a lot of other sectors that are relevant to the cloud. You see Wiz, which just recently turned down a $23 billion acquisition offer by Google. It soared up the list this year. And then we also had a couple interesting newcomers in fintech, where we saw Ramp and Brex appear on the Cloud 100 list. They were initially known for being sort of corporate credit cards, but as they have more software tools for managing payments, managing spend for a company, they're really software businesses as well. And that's why you see them both appear high on the Cloud 100 list this year.
Alex Conrad, once again, thanks for your reporting. A big congrats to you. Hope you come back soon.
Can't wait.